Hi, I'm Drawbar Dan.
I'm Highball Harold Harilko.
And welcome to Shop Track.
Howdy.
Well, Harold.
Hey, how's it going?
Very well. Anything you wanted to bring up current
No,
before I get into her here?
No, I'm just still on a high from the Steam question of the week.
By the way, Harold mentioned to me something about, people are people, eh? And, I went on before about, some supervisors. I guess there's a difference between a company officer and a supervisor now or whatever, but that people, you know what I always did? Always, and I got this from when I was in the Navy too, and this is, you always try to remember, if I was working, let's say I took over a territory, I'd be down on midnight, janitor at midnight, when I made a point of introducing myself and always trying to remember their names, people's names. These are the people that are part of your team, right? And now they have that I appear, these young guys with some authority. They don't, they're not personable. They don't introduce stuff. They walk around like, anyways, they just lost all touch. And I just want to say this right now. And this comes down to one of our quotes. Any of you guys out there, authority without wisdom is like a heavy axe without an edge. It's more fit to bruise than to polish. So remember that. Okay? Authority without wisdom. Come on. All right. Now, I was going to tell a story about my first wreck.
All right.
You can keep it pretty condensed.
Let's hear it.
Okay, and it was back in train orders, and I was the tail end brakeman. My conductor was Mike Schwab. The head end brakeman, who was an ESB. He had 3 years, or 3 or 4 years more senior than me, but like we said before, he was the ESB. He rode the head end, and I believe, Gary Connell, I think, was our engineer. Anyways, or was it Rod Cummings? I can't remember, but I remember who I was. Anyways, we were on first 720, and here's train orders. Okay, this is what we got, right? Now, this says to us, Prince Rupert, February 20th, 1982, train first 720, and you went over your stuff. This is like Rule 210C. Conductors and engineers were to read aloud their train orders. And so I look, I got the clearance here. We got orders 230, 232, 241, and slow 722, 723. So you go through and you make sure you got each one of those, right? Okay, so here we go. Trains to Skeena Sub at Prince Rupert. Number 9, due to leave Terrace Saturday, February 20th, is annulled. Terrace to Prince Rupert. Okay, number 9 and 10 were a daily passenger. Okay, so they have to get the passenger equipment to eastward, eh? Rupert, the end of the line or beginning of the line, the Grand Trunk Pacific, either way you look at it. But so then they run the passenger equipment extra with right over all trains and leave Prince Rupert and arrive at these times. And then here we go. We have the engine 9171. Okay, that was the old 9000s. Okay, and 9159 was second 720 behind us. So we were engines 9171 and 9159 run as first and second 720 Prince Rupert to Terrace. And then we had 20 per between mileage 39.5 and mileage 53. Oh, yeah, and that's the avalanche. That's due to snow conditions. There was an avalanche that year. That picture of me on the 4211 was taken 2 years before that at the same location. And cars on sidings. Anyways, we're clipping along. Now, passenger equipment runs ahead of us, hits 2 moose. Hamburgers 1, right? And knocks 1 up. And big snow in those days. Like, the snow piled. And knocked another one aside on top. Now when we go by, the vibration, when our head end goes by, shakes the ground, and the one moose slides down. Now we got empties. We got empty grain boxes and hoppers, like, they're like 27, 30 tons, kind of thing right now. And enough snow that you couldn't even see. This moose came underneath and derailed a truck. An axle, and you couldn't tell. So much snow, we're doing 40, 45 mile an hour, even looking out the back of the caboose with the blowing snow, you couldn't see. And we dragged that thing probably for about a mile until we hit the west switch at Amesbury. And then all hell broke loose, right? And this is where we're talking about safety devices. There used to be an air whistle in the caboose. When a guy took air, you'd hear a sound and I hear a kick, a clocking sound, and then you'd hear the brakes, shoes. You knew, okay, buddy's taking a break. Well, or if you lose the air, right? Well, some lazy guys, like we've talked about before, I don't want to hear a noise, so they put rubber bands and paper cups around it, so it doesn't make the noise. It muffles it, right? I'm gonna wake them up, maybe, eh? So the bottom line, this is what can happen. We're clipping along. We're clipping 40, 45 mile an hour, and I'm coming out of the cupola, and conductor's at the back desk doing paperwork, and I go to get a coffee. And I just happen to stand up to the cupola and start, coming down, and I happen to look at the air gauge and see it go from 90 to 0, just like that. Didn't hear the air, didn't hear anything. Just happened to look at it, and I yelled out to Mike to hang on. And 27 cars we put on the ground out of 100. 27 to 30 cars on the ground, but we went from about 40 mile an hour to 0 in about 30 feet, I think. I don't know, but anyways, Anyways, we had to get our stuff, and so much snow on either side. We had to walk on top of the cars, but they had catwalks on top of the cars still. So we had to walk on top of our train, and as I pulled up there, you can see the head of brakeman with a fusee standing, and I'm looking up and over, and we took out a bridge. There were cars in the siding. It was but anyway, so we cut off. They protect our train as with the train orders, you don't get we cut off and ran to Terrace and went for beers, and I gotta believe that was quite the night. Anyways, saying his first 720. So if you guys, that's what displaying Irish laundry. Okay, green flags. Were you flying green flags? Okay, you're number 720, and you got a timetable meet. Nothing on, buddy. Yeah, here come, and you're in the siding for 720 on the timetable, and the guy goes by. He's got green flags. You're gonna be waiting for another guy. And he goes by, another 720 with green. And you're waiting yet. You can't leave until the guy goes by, the last guy goes by with nil, as per Rule 20. And that's where, like, this register check, right? Train register, signals displayed. When necessary to check the train register to ascertain whether all trains due, which are superior, have arrived or left. So it's very important. Anyways, running in sections. That's what that was all about. And we were first 720 displaying green. And then we went in the bush, and second 720 they canceled. Got a called and canceled. That sucks. Anyways, that was my first wreck, and it's amazing how an animal like that, a big animal, can. I've had more stories. I worked at Fraser Sub on the BC North Line. It's like the killing fields for moose. And I tell you, man, a big majestic or a big bull elk, and you got the pilot, we said before, down over the rail, how something that big and that ballast is like number 30 grit. Yeah. It just drives them until you feel like boom, 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 boom.
East of town.
Brutal.
Not quite as bad with the moose, but I remember about 5 years ago, we were about 218 going to Edson. Sorry, mile 218, not on 218, because there are no more speed trains.
Right, yeah.
Mile 218, come around that curve there, track speed, whole herd of elk, and it's just, I called it bowling for elk.
Yeah.
Boop, 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 boop. Anyway.
It's a drag.
We reported to the RTC because now he's going to let Parks Canada know. So we get to Edson, and the engineer calls up Doug, DRP, Doug Perry, retired now.
Good guy.
Although,
another brother.
Yeah, I hear that from the noobs, the green vest, that he's doing some rules down in Winnipeg. So right on, Doug. And Doug says, Parks said it was the body count was 11.
Ooh.
So. And then another guy who's gone to Vancouver now, he's kind of funny. He's like, the railroad put him there, and the railroad takes him away.
Yep. Anyways, as long as steel wheel rolls on steel rail, there's you're gonna have feces will occur. Shit happens, right?
Try to mitigate that by staying safe.
Always stay safe, and remember, children of the steel.